Welcome to the Iron Table, where iron sharpens iron, so should men sharpen men. I am your host, Bryant Godine, and I'm joined by my brothers Keith, Danny, and Steve. We're your waiters, serving you accountability and truth. We now bring you to our program, already in progress.
Welcome to the Iron Table, where iron sharpens iron, so should men sharpen men. We had a little technical difficulties, but we felt like you needed to hear that twice so you know exactly who we are. We are the Iron Table, not that Iron Table, not this Iron Table, but the Iron Table. And as I said, my name is Brian Godine, and I brought to the table, three of the smartest, finest, most versatile gentlemen that I know, Danny, Keith, and Steve. As you see, we're in 4 different areas, so we're coming from 4 different perspectives. Before we get started, just want to check in with the guys and just see how they're doing, what they've been up to, and then we'll get right into today's discussion. We'll start with Danny.
Doing good. A little under the weather, but grateful to be here at the table.
Steve, look like you on the move.
Doing pretty decent. On the way to church, but everything's going pretty good. Everything's been smooth. Been blessed. So it's been smooth.
Steve looks like he belongs in an episode of like something like the Black G.I. Joe guy or something. I don't know.
Cops. This is what Roadblock does on his off time.
Yeah. Bad Boys 8.
Bad boys.
He brought in his missing brother. All right, Deacon.
Man, I'm glad to be alive. So I've been running for Jesus. But nice to slow down and take a minute. Always to get it in, get the table in.
All right. Yeah, things been pretty smooth for me. If my eyes look tired, I can go to bed too late, woke up early, then try to go back to sleep. You know how that goes. Once you're up, you're up.
Yeah, that's here too.
And you got to keep moving. Let's see. So we got the table today. Basketball practice. The Iron Table does fund started a church league basketball team. So we got to get in shape for that. Our minds may still be thinking like it's the 90s. When we might have been at our basketball prime, but our bodies are telling us it's 2024. So we moving as long as no one gets seriously hurt. We know we're gonna get hurt, but seriously hurt. That's the daily prayer. So all right, fellas, because we want to make sure that Steve gets to the church on time to meet Jesus.
Oh no, we good. We got a good hour.
I know you good with Jesus. We didn't question if you was good with Jesus. We just want to make sure that you get there safely. So I only got 2 questions today, just 2. We'll start with this one. Incentives or consequences? What motivates a man to do something?
I almost had an automatic response.
Yeah.
And think about it. Let me give you some context. Okay, so I was talking to my wife and I was telling her about my son. I said, I remember growing up, it was do as I say. So either if you did all your chores, you got an allowance. So you were incentivized to do what was told. Or if you don't do this, I'm going to whip your butt. And so there was consequences. But either one of them, there's the positive side and there's the negative side. Either one of them moved me to do whatever it is I was told to do. So as a young man, and I mean, even we go through school, you do your work, you study, you're more likely to pass the test. You pass the test, you get a good grade. Good grades mean better opportunities. Work, you do your job. If you don't do your job, you get fired. So when in relationships, does the same thing work? Do we work off of incentives, or do we work best off of consequences?
In short, I feel it's both. In short, I feel it can be both. It depends on the person too. But even as children, as little boys, you can hear a warning 50 million times. But until some people, until that warning is met with, it is reinforced with some type of physical correction or some type of consequence. I ain't not always saying beating, but even even other forms of punitive punishment where he attaches action with the lack of action with the consequence. Then again, we can make that associate
Yeah, like that.
men grow up and make the mistake of being unfaithful. And meanwhile, she's telling them the whole time, if you do this, I'm going to leave you.
Oh,
But
we talked about that yesterday. He's gonna make me love somebody else.
leaves, now he's ready to be like, no, 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 baby, come back. And it's like, no, I told you if you did this, this was the consequence. So sometimes I'm saying all this to say that for many of us, yes, we need incentives, but we also need consequences. It's dire.
So I want to piggyback on what you said. So if there's threats, are you saying that we don't move off of threats? Because you keep saying if you're going, I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave. And like whatever, until she actually has her bags packed and walking out the door.
You see the episode of Martin? I know it's a TV show, but he's like, step. Oh, kid, because he didn't believe it. But then when she gets up to go, no, baby, please, please.
Don't leave me. Don't leave me. Don't leave me.
Don't leave me. I'm playing. Yes. Because sometimes it is, and it's not the same thing for everybody. It's not the same thing all the time. It can be just straight up neglect where we just don't care. We don't really believe you and we're not going to move. Or it can be something that our headspace may not be where you are and we focus on something else. It can be, there's a lot of reasons why men are sometimes in our own world and not really focused on what we're often told we should be focused on. But but there are reasons, but then there are times that how can I put this? There are times that certain actions have to be, it has to be shown that if these things are not working, the possibility of this consequence is real. It's inevitable. And unfortunately, because we don't always think it's a possibility, we don't always take it seriously.
I think sometimes it just depends on where you're at in life and the maturity level too. Because at certain points in times in your life, certain things that are not a priority, or you look at things a little bit differently. It's as if like you certain things that we value, you know what I mean? Does that, the consequence for not valuing time, how does that feel at the age of 25 versus the age of 55? Knowing that maybe you got a lot more years behind you than ahead of you, you value your time, you value your peace, you value not arguing in a relationship, more than, when you were 25, so I think it kind of also depends on not only your maturity level, but just where you're at in life, as far as, what you're willing to do and not do, as well as understanding too, us as men, especially when we're talking about the practice of cheating in a relationship. A lot of times, if we don't think that what we do, the woman's going to do, but then when the woman does it too, we can't take it. We can't take it at all. We can't. And it's like I've counseled many men where they're like, "Hey, I'm doing this. I did that. She found out about this. She found out about that. She wink at another dude. Oh, it's the end of the world. It's the end of the world. So it's like it's I'll give you an example of where there was a person who got caught cheating. The answer to the response was just say, hey, let's go out and be have an open relationship, right? I guess he thought that she wasn't gonna do it, and she did it, and that just kind of warped his mind because it's like, how dare she? But we as men have a more sense of reality where it's, Yeah, but you've been doing far worse. This little thing that she did, if she was to do the same thing, like, but again, like I said, it goes back to where we're at in our life and what's valuable at that point in time. Sometimes some people don't value marriage until you 50 or 60,
Yeah.
That's true.
And you literally need each other to walk. One could see, one could hear. It's like, baby, you can't leave. I can't see. I can't see without you.
I can't hear nothing. I can't see where you going.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I just want to throw mine in there. I had some technical difficulties, but I would say, just from the standpoint of what I've learned about human behavior in education, one of the best motivators, that's intrinsic motivators. People work better, generally speaking. Not that you can't get them to move when you whip out the belt, like we're talking about kids. Like, you can get them to move, but you really see their heart when it's just like they gonna get something from it. So, like, case in point, if a dude know he gonna get something, if he know it's
your whole house,
if he know it's guaranteed, and it's not gonna just be that lay on the back, just like but it's gonna be like she gonna put it down. Oh, he
paint that house with a toothbrush.
What? In 10 minutes or less.
But that requires actual follow through of a promise or of an incentive. So what happens when that doesn't happen?
Burn the house down
over a period of time. Then what?
So it's just like I use the quarter in the gumball machine analogy. How many quarters you gonna put in before you stop? It's just like, okay, hold up. It said I was supposed to get a gumball. Like, you might put two, maybe. But usually it's just that one. It's like, give me my gumball. I ain't putting another gumball in there.
I'm getting 2 out.
I'm about to go play.
And if we continue to do it, that means we got a gambling addiction, huh? If it don't turn out right.
Oh,
so it's contractual. So where does nagging fit into this equation?
Well, I don't want to talk about that, because the realities are that there are some times when we need them to artfully be insistent about something that needs to be done, because we wouldn't take it seriously.
That was I had to get that was put very artistically. I can appreciate it.
I can't remember what he said. Can you say it again?
No, it was an accident. Yeah, we let me try. There are times when we need their incessant reminders to push us to do things that need to get done, and we wouldn't do it if they didn't push all the way. And so there's times when it's just like, yeah, I heard her, but now it's just like, oh my goodness, if it's gonna make you
set you up.
Yeah. So is that where
but when it happens,
needs to happen more incentives?
Well, I think that incentive is that they work hand in hand, right? I'm just saying that what I've observed is, in general, people work a lot more when they are motivated by the desire to gain something. It's a little different. So, case in point, like, let's take church, for instance. All right, so there's some people who just don't want to go to hell, right? All right, but that's bad motivation.
That is bad.
Like, to the point that even in the Beatitudes, it's just like, and the Sermon on the Mount, yeah, when you give, do it like this. When you pray, do it like that. When you fast, make sure you do it like this. Otherwise, it doesn't count. In the love chapter in 1 Corinthians 13, it's like, if I surrender my body to the flames but have not the right motive, it's useless. It's a resounding gong. It's a clanging cymbal. It's pointless. It has to be the motivation of love. If love isn't compelling you, that I don't want to go to hell, religion is not going to result in a life-giving relationship with Jesus Christ. And so we end up obeying, trying not to burn up, but the wrong motive makes the right thing neutral. It neutralizes it. in the sight of God. We got to do it from the right motive, because if not, it doesn't count. And so I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it does. It's the, like you said, it's the you have to have either want to do it because you want to do it, or just not. Because if I don't really see the benefit in it for me, or it's something that I want to do, I'm less likely to do it. And I might require extra motivation in order to do something, because I don't see the same need. But then, as men, are we to then tune our minds, tune our vision to see that what may not be a need for us is a need for them that they may not be able to do? So, it our responsibility to kind of self motivate to get things done, or do we say, well, hey, when I did these 5 things, this is what I got in return. So, you might need to pick it up a little, for me to also pick it up a little. Is there supposed to be give and take, balance in things, in requests, and
Yeah, I would say like you got to be like a thriving relationship is one where both needs are mutually being met, mutually beneficial relationship. So if I don't care how you feel, like that's going to be an imbalance, and it's going to cause somebody to be frustrated, and it's going to break all the way down. And so I'm not saying that you're always able to have equilibrium and a balance. It's never 50-50, but you should care that somebody's in distress to a large extent. I'm not in charge of your happiness.
Yeah.
So just to make that clear, but at the same time, like your social emotional state, it matters to me. And if there's something I can do to alleviate some frustration on your end, why wouldn't I do it? Unless there's, some conflict of a principle that I'm upholding. So I would just say you need both. Like God was like, yeah, the day that you eat thereof, you will surely die. He wasn't just talking about, you need both. You need both of them. But I think that it goes without saying that intrinsic motivation is really, really, really important, because if you do the right thing for the wrong reasons, in God's sight, it doesn't count.
Mm. Mm. That's well, you know what? That's well. Look how God worked. Because now I was feeling a certain way because I just got a message that they canceled church while I'm halfway there, and
Oh,
and see,
and, and here
we
come
heard.
and here come Danny talking about some. You gotta. So
for the right
that was right on. That was right on. But that goes to show you, like, hey, sometimes when you do what it is that you're supposed to do, you don't always get your desired outcome. You got to be okay with it.
True.
Mm.
That is true with this life. There's a lot of men who, because again, like you said, as it pertains to the relationship of men and women, there's a lot of men who are trying to anticipate and do the right thing and meet needs, and it doesn't always go the way they expect it to go, because there are some women who don't appreciate or don't always express their appreciation, or they don't know. So you have a lot of men who do spin their tails, and I hear it a lot. I just don't feel appreciated in my house. I don't feel appreciated. And I will say where grandmas and great grandmas, I see
What?
they were different. They were different beasts. They
My
could get
man.
Sinbad says, get my daddy lay a whole roof. And just by going up there, look at my man. Look at him. He's so strong. Bring him a glass of Kool-Aid. And that's all he needed.
But I'm glad you said that, Keith. What does appreciation look like? I hear so many men say that I don't feel appreciated. I don't. But what does it really look like? And does it differ from person to person?
Yeah, that's my favorite question. I'll let y'all answer first.
Yeah.
I'll say it does differ from person to person, because that goes into, it reminds me of that book, Five Love Languages. Appreciation is the action is reciprocated in a way that I understand that you appreciate it. There's I I know she likes. My wife likes acts of service.
Mhm.
So I try to do more stuff around the house to alleviate, the burden of work, of parenting, and I have the bandwidth to do more things. My love language is time, and I would say and gifts. So when she does have the time, she spends it. If not, and goes to the store, it might be something about like bringing back some watermelon juice. It's not expensive, but it's just like, hey, that let me know that you were thinking of me with the time that you had. And so I know that you're appreciative of it. There's some other things she does, as wives, they do, to let us know that they're appreciative of it. And so I think it goes back to really understanding your mate and asking, like, what, how do you understand my appreciation? Ask that question.
But
Oftentimes
see,
that question isn't asked.
but see, here's the thing, and I think that when I ask people these questions when they're going through distress in their relationships, it's what I feel is like when people have really checked out, sometimes they use that as a cop out when it's like, oh, I don't feel like this person appreciates me or does X, Y, and Z. And the thing about it is that they probably do, but now in our warped mind, we're just making excuses of
Mm-mm.
why we don't want to say that I'm done with this relationship and just putting it on the other person. We're just going to put it on the other person and say they don't do X, Y, and Z. I don't feel appreciated. Well, maybe that person does, but it's a very easy cop out to just say I don't feel like I'm appreciated. I don't feel like they do this. When in reality, they probably do. But we are just warped in our minds of not taking responsibility, ownership of saying I'm done with the relationship. We throw it back on them.
Very true.
Yeah.
I work with couples that do that. When they actually sat down in session, and not that we needed to go tit for tat, but when we start exposing what was done and the intentionality behind why it was done, it was like,
Yeah.
oh, so you did, like, yeah, I did that for you because of this. Oh, well, I just thought no,
Yeah.
I did it because I knew you weren't feeling well. So I just offered to take the kids to school, or I picked them up, or I fed, I got dinner, or no, it wasn't out of selfish motivation. It was because I saw you and I recognized you. But because when we get angry, like a lot of us men, we like to shut down. We like to shut down and we stop talking. And sometimes that's for a reason, because I've seen some guys who can't talk in their relationships.
Yeah.
Get their head bit
Say
cleaned off.
that.
So I see that being a bigger problem in a lot of relationships where guys feel like they can't talk, but when we often are able to talk and speak to it, I'm gonna just say it. Most times we are speaking to a space of emotions,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
we're coming with our logic to those emotions. Sometimes that emotion don't want to hear no logic, even if it makes complete sense. That emotion says you hurt my feelings. That's all I care about right now. And that could be hard.
You,
We're like, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, though.
you know what?
This was my
I,
intent.
I gotta
I'm
put
trying
this
to
up there because
explain.
Keith is speaking the next question. So I'm gonna say this.
Okay.
Explain why men defend themselves when accused of doing something or not doing something. Is it a lack of accountability, or are they just giving context?
I would rephrase the question. When is it a lack of accountability versus just giving context? Because I think that it's human nature to,
Mhm.
if somebody's coming at you, like
Prove your
you're,
point. Yep. Prove your
yes,
point.
that's human nature. You could argue that till we blue in the face, but each one of us have a perspective, and most times what I found in working with couples is you got two relatively good people that are just on two separate pages, and it takes some type of mediation to say, hey, this is what I was trying to say. That don't make no sense though, but understand it from my lens, understand it from my perspective, understand where my unique life experiences have created this frame that has me seeing things this way. I ain't saying it's right, I'm just saying that it is. And when we're learning how to build those skills of being able to in being able to stand in the shoes of the other person, to be able to acknowledge something that we don't necessarily like, understanding that this is where that person is. I think sometimes most of the conversations, I think, is people just trying to give that context on their perspective. Because if somebody doesn't feel heard, what are they going to keep doing?
Yeah, crying
And
out.
so, like, yeah, they're going to keep trying to make sure that you get it, especially when you care about the relationship. And so I say all the
But see,
time, go ahead.
let me ask you about that. That one phrase, I don't feel heard. Do sometimes people just say it? Sometimes people use that phrase to say, I don't feel heard, but what they really mean is, you're not agreeing with me. And I think that's a
Sometimes.
cop out. That's another cop out too. Because so many times I just don't feel like you hear me. No, you want me to agree with you.
Yeah.
I don't agree with you.
I don't feel understood, and you're not agreeing with me. Because sometimes you're hearing what I'm saying, but you don't understand me. So, and then it's that part. You hear me, you don't understand me, and you're not agreeing with me. Like, okay, I hear you, I understand you,
Or
but
you heard me, but you're not listening. You
not
didn't.
listening. Yeah, you're not
No,
listening.
I am.
Well, no, I'm
I am.
listening.
I just don't agree. I don't agree with you. You're wrong. I feel you're wrong.
If you're
Exactly.
listening, if you're listening to reply instead of listening to understand, like, I don't care what gender you are, and we do that as men. We're listening and we're ready to come back with our logical response, and that's not going to get you nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, that's grammatically incorrect on purpose. It's going to get you nowhere. Well, babe, like, just do this. You going to be in the doghouse. And so, like, the thing that they want is to be heard, to feel understood. That's an innate human need. And I think that sometimes what I have found, I don't know if y'all can speak to this because we're trying to bring a gender distinction. What I have found is that a lot of times men don't feel heard. We're not as good at communicating. We haven't worked out in the gymnasium of communication as much as our female counterparts have. And so we don't have the words. And they just come in and they just like boom, boom, boom. And they remember all the minute details, and they're crossing T's and dotting I's.
Wait a minute. So having a level of words means that you're a better communicator?
No, I'm gonna pass the baton to Keith and Steve on that one.
I'm just asking.
Ooh.
Keith has some theories on that. In terms of who's
said a million times. No,
remind the table.
Use your words.
Y'all just repeated it. I said no. That women. I don't believe that women are better communicators. I believe that they just use more words. I believe that they can spit out their thoughts a lot quicker than we can, because when we have time to pause, think, and that's why I continue to tell men to journal, write, do whatever you got to do to get your thoughts out your head. When you can see it on paper in front of you, you realize my thoughts do make sense. So when you do sit down at the table to discuss what's happening, you can articulate a little better, and it does quell. Sometimes it will completely quench. It'll put out that fire for some people, because I'm not crazy. I know what I said, and I know how I feel, and I know what I'm thinking. And what I often tell men, I say this at least 3 or 4 times a week: if you know what you're thinking, everybody else can't tell you what you were thinking.
That part. Say that again. Say that for the people in the back.
If you know what you're thinking, a lot of other people can't tell you what you were thinking. I've been told, oh, well, when this happened, you were thinking this. No, I wasn't. I'm gonna tell you what I was thinking, because I'm me, and I've processed my thoughts, and this is what I was thinking when that was happening.
Did you say that?
I would have. You're telling me what you believe I was thinking, or your interpretation of my silence. My silence wasn't me thinking this. My silence was, I'm not trying to kill you today, or whatever it is. So I'm not arguing today, but it wasn't. But when we as men take the time to process our thoughts, and we take the time to unpack our own feelings and write them down, make it plain, we can go back to a space of emotion, and we can manage it a lot better, because we're not getting into the tug of war of words. Well, you meant this. No, I didn't. Like, because again, a lot of disagreements never get fixed because we're too busy tug of war. We're at odds, and we're arguing about the small stuff.
And that's what I always have to tell. And again, I had to extensively tell a couple even this weekend. They kept on saying, I feel like he's doing it. I feel like she's doing that. I'm like, okay, first and foremost, we got to get out of our feelings. Because what you're talking about is just an assumptions or theoretical guesses.
They're gonna take your life,
Just
Steve. You told people not to hurt their feelings.
because here's the thing: you feel something, but the person right next to you, you can just ask them, "Hey, I felt like," and I told them to do this. I felt like you, when you said this, you were being mean and condescending or anything like that. That's how I felt. Is that what you mean? And then let the person respond. Because right now you're going off of feelings and assumptions and theoretical guesses that could be completely in your mind. So ask the person next to you. Is my guess reality? And then go from there.
But what does a man do when he does that? And this ain't my story. But he, it's like, this is what she says. This is what I felt. And he has an opportunity to say, well, I'm sorry I felt that way. This is what I meant.
That's a dangerous phrase. Dangerous phrase.
So, all right. So what is
I'm sorry you felt that way. It's pretty much, I apologize, but. And then usually that ain't going very.
So then what is the right phrase? We got to
but you can insert something right there. I'm sorry I made you feel that way. Take the ownership on, hey, you know what? I'm sorry I made you feel that way. That was not my intent.
That key right there.
So because and there's a major difference. When you just say, I'm sorry you felt that way, you put it back on them like it's almost their fault. But when you say, I'm sorry, and it's mental chess. That's all it is. It's mental chess.
Semantics.
Because it's mental chess, so that way you don't have an argument. Because that disagreement can turn into an argument very quickly. Then that argument can turn into a fight. Just because I forgot to say, I'm sorry I made you feel that way.
And see, that's
like
what
that.
I wanted to make sure that we are giving these men who may not have these, have friends, have boys that can say, wait a minute.
We need to just get a t-shirt. Just get a t-shirt that says, I'm sorry I made you feel that way. Just get a t-shirt and just wear it.
Yeah, you still gotta be careful though, because I ain't talking about what I've done with others. I'm talking about what I'm still mastering myself. It's just like some days it's just like I need to apologize. I feel like, well, go ahead, Keith.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, bro.
Do we tell the truth as men? Do we over apologize?
Absolutely. Yep. And some days I'm like,
it's one validation. Of what I already.
So you do know that when
because we don't want to argue.
Our significant others.
Oh my goodness! Say that.
What's going to happen, right?
I don't care. Who cares? It's the iron table, and so like the goal is peace. Like I just want peace.
I just want peace. That's it.
That's it.
But it does
still buffing my corner of the table to make sure that it stays shiny. Because y'all seem like y'all like whatever chisel it wobbles a little bit. We'll just slide a little piece of
we just want peace
underneath it.
But at some point we do choose violence. At some point it gets to be enough. Like, okay, no, we gonna have a talk right now.
Yeah, I think that's when we've gone without feeling as though we were heard for an extended period of time.
True.
It's like the dam just
that is true.
It breaks.
I know that
it's like shaking up a can of soda. It's just like,
when
okay,
is it the right time to tell your significant other that either there's an unmet need or that you have a need or that you express some disappointment?
Yeah, I think that so I have this.
He went off camera because he can't answer that.
Yeah, no. For me, that's unique to a couple. So I have this continuum in my first book where it's called the I Got Issues With You continuum. On one side of the continuum, you got people who almost never bring anything up. And then on the other side of this continuum, people who almost always bring, every time you walk in the door, it's something else. Which extreme is bad for the relationship? Both of them with two F's. And so we've got to find some type of equilibrium where we're able to have confined to a period of time. There's one that the co-host of the Growing Love show, Ellery, she talks about John Lund. This couple I think they're couples coaches or therapists, and they have 15 minutes every day. He got 7.5, she got 7.5. And at the end of that 7.5, that's it. Like, and so it's able to, what that strategy does is that there's a time for it. If there's never a time for it, then it's gonna feel like it's always time. We're going back to that shaking up soda can. It's just like he about to burst right now. He don't care that it's not the time for us to have date night or whatever. And so I would say just each individual couple needs to have a system where they have those check-ins, some type of system of check-ins. We got systems of check-in for our vehicles. We check that oil. We rotate them tires. We got systems of check-in for our businesses. We check them financials, the P&L, the balance sheet. We got systems for our health. We got the mammograms, the prostate exam. We got to have a system.
About things that don't have feelings, right?
Yes, I know. But I'm saying that in my experience, the whole point of me writing my first book was giving people a systematic way to manage the health of their romantic relationships, because you can't just get in the car and drive to California and think that you're not going to need some gas. You're not going to change the oil. You're not going to, you can try, but it's going to fail. And so whatever you're going to do.
Wholeheartedly. But I think if I collaborate on what Goodine is saying or is alluding to.
Yeah.
Sometimes feelings don't care about your system. And I know we're supposed to.
Yes, absolutely.
Don't want to talk about this.
You're right.
Because you're attacking me and I feel like you're getting on my nerves. So we're not meeting today.
Yes.
And so when we have a system in place, I don't feel like I want to, I feel like I want to do something else.
Forget your system.
Yeah, you're not going to know when your alternator is going to be out. Like, it's just going to happen. Like, there ain't no system to figure that out. And so there's going to be that. But by and large, if we have some type of a system, it can keep you from reaching a crisis. Like, if you're taking your vehicle in, if you're taking your marriage in, like I know some of you are big believers in getting relationship counseling yourselves. Why? Because you know that if you're going to get them checkups, then it's going to, that check engine light can stay off a little longer. Does that mean you're not going to break down? Nah, you're going to break down. You're going to be on the side of the road and you're going to need a tow truck. But the thing that I'm trying to say is you can prevent a lot of that. You can't prevent all of it.
And
when
you got,
go ahead.
but you got to also couple that also, like what you were saying, with I won't say extreme boundaries, but some definitely, I won't say ground rules, but boundaries. Like within the car, you don't always are supposed to go 150 miles an hour because something's going to happen. You can play Russian roulette with it when you want, or you don't go driving very fast on slippery roads or whatnot. And I liken that to a relationship, to where I always tell couples, hey, have a system of boundaries where you put in place, hey, you know what? If something happened 30 days ago, right?
Yeah.
We cannot talk about it. We can talk about it all the way up until the 29th day. But on day 30, you better shut up about it. That's it. Get it all out within 29 days. But 30 days or go 90 days. Or go a year.
Feelings do not operate in a linear line.
But here you go. If I feel like I want to do 170 miles an hour, guess what? And then when the consequence comes where I flip this car over and kill myself, I got to be okay with that consequence, because I did not go through the constraints of my boundaries of preserving my life. You're talking about preserving your relationship. So if I want to let my feelings get in the way of preserving my relationship, so be it then. But now the consequences, don't be mad when you get the consequences of you done cussed him or her out to the point to where he don't want to talk to you or you don't want to talk to him. And now guess what? Wandering eyes. Now we got temptation. Yeah. All because you did not, all because you got in your feelings and you did not want to preserve your relationship. And I hear to them about
still one of the, and I have to say this, as men, we cannot, even if we're treated that way, I'll tell anyone, get divorced. Don't add the label of cheater to that.
All day. Yeah. All day.
But just because we're treated that way, we can't just say, okay, well, she's doing this to me, I'm going to start having wandering eyes, I'm going to start cheating, because we cannot put our actions on someone else. We have accountability. But you're asking someone who, you're asking women, who you know, feel more, who are, you know, more into, you know, just the, you know, their feelings, maybe feelings of others, to hold themselves, to pause and,
Yes.
and say that if I do this, this will happen, and I've got to be prepared and accept it. But then if we do something that, you know, give back that same energy, we're still in the wrong.
But here's the but no, here's the thing. We're giving. I'm not gonna just say women, but men in general too. Everybody else can do it everywhere else in life, at their jobs, at church, in public. Everybody has boundaries, and they adhere to those boundaries. But when we get to a relationship, it's just, oh, I was in my feelings, I just did what I wanted to do. No, you have the ability to hold yourself accountable in all these other areas, but because you don't feel like there's a true consequence to you getting in your feelings in this relationship, you feel now you can just do whatever you want to do, not suffer the consequence. Now,
I was upset.
Okay, and I was too.
Yeah. Yeah. And so,
But then who is the, I don't want to say bigger person, and it's because I don't have the long thesaurus of words, but someone has to throw a flag on the play and say, let's just stop it. You know, neither one of us wants to be the first to say goodbye. You know,
I always put it back. A lot of times I put it back on the man, because I say, look, we have sometimes the energy, we have the power to sometimes control energy and let energy to continue to go on at a certain point in time. To a certain extent, we can control the energy that's in the room. As a head of the household, as a man, I'll be a firm believer now. Look, just the other day, I got some. Look, I got some negative energy that was thrown at me in the store, and guess what? I chose violence that day. I got it, and I gave it right back. And guess what? I was okay with the consequence. I was okay with it. I was okay. I chose violence that day. That was my fault.
Yep.
I could have instead of giving that exact energy back, I could have just said, you know what? I could have went into her realm and just say, hey, you know what? When you said that, it kind of made me feel a certain way.
yeah,
I may
think
not
it's a
know
time
that
for
you.
that.
Yep.
It's
But I
a
chose violence.
time and a place, like Ecclesiastes 3:1 says. It's a time for everything, a
I want
season
to
for every
make sure that
activity.
when we say violence, we're not talking about
Yes,
physical
no.
violence.
We're not
You
talking
have
about
that
right.
disclaimer.
unless you coming at me with like some
So then
kind
that's
of weapon.
self-defense. It's
We
no
talking,
longer violence.
we
It's
ain't talking
self-defense.
about that. So I just want to make sure that's clear. We not taking blows.
We can defend. We will block, but we
verbal,
will not throw.
verbal violence. Verbal violence. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure the iron table stays.
Stays.
We done said some stuff.
Yeah.
Where it goes
So
down. This is cool. It's us, but I feel like Deacon Jones gets skirted. I still haven't heard when is a good time in order to say.
Nothing. What you say?
I said I'm still waiting for the exact time to say, "Hey, This need is not getting met." When is a good time to express man's feelings?
yeah.
What I'm hearing, or what I know from a lot of people,
Are you in a car wash?
Sorry. I turned on the air conditioner.
we do things, and I can't speak because I know every relationship is different. There are some relationships where the men are actually the more easily triggered or more emotional. Average, I think it's hard for us men to communicate because we are actually and I don't think a lot of women realize, most of us, I put it to someone this week this way. It's like double dutch. We looking for the good time to bring this up, and it never, with everything going on in the world, it never seems like a good time to just jump in and bring up this issue.
Never.
Again, if she feels like she's being attacked at work, if she feels like it's training her, if she feels like
the one that's
coming down
turning
on
the rope, isn't she?
and now here you come with your issue with her as well.
Yeah.
You already know where this is going.
Yeah.
You catching all of it.
So
All of it.
yeah.
So we're waiting for the time, like we really need to bring this up. But at the same time, when?
Yeah. So
Bring it up to your friends.
I definitely know that's going to be a challenge, like double dutch. Like And so I don't know that there's ever a right time for everything, but yeah, as the situation escalates, sometimes you just got to interrupt. I will say this: after somebody comes home from a long day of work, that's always the wrong time. Always, like they just woke up. I don't know. Like I think that we can get more strategic about. All right, I have to bring this up. I
Mental
would
chess.
argue, yeah,
Mental
it's
chess.
mental chess. I would dare say that I have had success in a previous relationship with bringing certain things up after a time and a season of physical intimacy.
Ooh,
I knew he was
right
gonna say
there.
that.
Yeah,
Right there. Right
yeah,
there.
and so you're able to have like a physical closeness that oftentimes when you're like playing badminton, it's just
Now,
like
what if you're not
you, go
having
ahead.
physical intimacy?
I'm not saying that you're always going to be able to do that. I'm just saying that you can be strategic with like
Listen, it's strategic because don't think
yes,
a
it's
lot of
chess.
cars have been bought, a lot of things have been paid because women do the same.
Yeah.
Some women do the same. Some women know men are more vulnerable after physical intimacy. It's so it is a space and place where we're able to communicate. Actually, even us, we actually find our words a little better.
Yes, absolutely. Don't do it
You got
right after
and
work.
you got to know your woman or know your man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With mine, I know. Hey, if we go shoot pool, we got a chance to actually talk with each other. You know what I mean? We can really get close. So I said, okay, if there's something really, really that we didn't talk about, hey, we need to probably be in an environment where we're by ourselves, but still doing something, but still in a point that we're in close
Yes.
proximity to talk. So I know with her it's pool. We can go shoot pool and talk and shoot. And it's cool. It's our safe place. You got to
It's gonna be
know
a
your
full
spouse
tournament. You
and
know, no trouble.
understand. Oh, that ain't that good. But I just know that hey, for her that's what works. You got to know who your spouse, your mate, your better
Just,
half, and understand what works.
just don't piss her off with that pool stick in her hand.
Ah!
Let me ask you, and this is a curveball question. If a man gets into a physical altercation with his woman and she whoops his behind, can he recover from that?
Yeah, no, he need to leave. Both of them need to go somewhere else. Like it's not you. Anytime a relationship is getting into you need a break.
Physical, yeah.
You need a physical break from that relationship because you crossing that's out of bounds. So what underlying to some of this discussion is what are the rules for managing our healthy relationship? Like we know with every game, chess, it has rules, basketball has rules. What are the rules? And we can, I think a lot of times men get frustrated because we'll sit up and we'll have a discussion and we'll determine the rules. And then we'll be in a conversation and she goes out of bounds.
Yeah.
And we're like,
oh boy.
Just establish the rules.
Y'all are so unfair. Y'all shouldn't have brought this up.
and so it's
This
just
is
like,
why you
but
didn't have church today. You about to cuss the word, aren't you?
yeah. And I don't have a whole lot long because I have another commitment to get to. But like, what are the rules? What are the rules that are managing our relationship? Because
Right. You're right.
if everything goes, then you gonna end up in guerrilla warfare. It's like like it's not gonna really be a winnable fight.
Right.
You got to have something.
How do we set rules? Because I think a lot of men don't even think about that from a place. It's sort of to be expected, but often couples don't really talk in the sense that what's red light, green light, what's good, what's not good. So
yeah,
how do we establish that?
I think with help, you shouldn't try to do it by yourself. That's
All right,
my
you
thought.
know how to do that. The next one, we can.
And I think also looking at recognizing red flags in the beginning. Seeing those red flags for what they are. They are not a green flag. They are not a yellow flag. They are not a fusion of green and red and yellow. they are a red flag, and they're there for a reason. And God shows gives us those insights for a reason. He's
I know
telling you what you got to get for the rest of your life.
she tickles my feet, man. She tickles my feet like nobody else.
Okay.
You don't understand. Like, I never met
Yep.
nobody who tickle my feet like this.
Or give you a right
Yep.
cross.
Yep. She gonna bust you upside your head when she feeling like you ain't heard her.
All right, well, we're gonna have to add that. I wrote down those 3 questions. We will talk about that at the next iron table. You know, what are the rules of a relationship? How do you set them? And what do you do when the rules are broken?
Oh, we might have to go weekly because we gonna have to finish this.
We're gonna have to finish this. But all right, fellas, you know, it's about that time. I like to end with just a parting words or final thoughts. You know. Let's try to make it quick because I hope Danny can stay, but I think he might have to go.
Yeah, so I would just say that you're going to have challenges in whatever relationship that you're in. You don't have to toss the baby out with the bathwater when things get hard, but you shouldn't try to do it alone anyway. We as guys, we understand the necessity of coaching in every other round. Like champions, they have coaches, they have other people that are helping them win. And in our romantic relationship, I think it's good to have those strategic partnerships. Far too often, couples that I have seen, they in isolation and indefinitely, they are just like on this downward spiral that results in I call it, it's almost like a death spiral, like with alligators, and like you just
Spinning.
you just spinning, but you're not going anywhere but down to your death. So just understanding that relationships can be challenging, they can be hard, but you don't have to do them alone. It's a whole lot easier. Just like if your car is giving you problems, if your body is hurting, you will go to a specialist. Do the same thing for your relationship. And that goes for all relationships, parent, child, co-worker, boss. Like it's okay to get help. And so I would just encourage men to open yourself up because this is the iron table for a reason, as iron sharpens iron. So one man can sharpen one another. And so I would just say, yo, get some iron, because trying to do it alone, why do that? And when you could get somebody to help sharpen that saw.
All right, man.
I say choose violence. It's like, no. But I do say you have a choice. You have a choice. Everything that happens, there is a choice. Whether I choose to be in my feelings or I choose to not argue, you have these choices all in life, and set these boundaries not only with yourself but with your relationship, with which what will or will not be done, or what you will not condone. You know, there's rules for a reason. You know, throughout life. Why do you think your relationship is any different? You
Yeah.
know. So just understand, we all have a choice, and please, not just women, but men, just get out your feelings, because that's if feelings versus reality is two different things. We act so much on our feelings that we choose not to act logical, and then wonder why people looking at us like we crazy. That's for men too, not just women, just men too.
Yeah. For the men, again, do a better job of getting to know yourself, understanding yourself, being able to explain yourself. That way, again, no one's telling you what to think, how to feel. You already know. You've done the homework. Um, it's hard to regulate the world around you when you yourself are still trying to figure out everything. So, this my parting words: men, do the work.
All right. You know, I'll just say, just take a moment and pause. That 1 second, could be 2 seconds. You know, we can't get into let our feelings dictate our actions, because feelings are like the wind; it will blow which way.
It will.
But there's, as Danny said, find somebody, find a professional, not just anybody, find a professional to help you process your feelings so that you're not relying upon them. As Keith said, do the work. Do the work. And nothing worth having isn't worth working for. And Steve said choose violence, but measured violence. I'll say measured violence. And the reason why I say that is, like I said, time for everything, but we have to be stern, and fight. Sometimes you got to fight for it. Fight for peace, not fight peace, but fight for it. This has been Iron Table, where iron sharpens iron, so should men sharpen men. I want to thank my brothers again for taking the time out of their busy schedule, and I wish that they have a prosperous, blessed life until the next time we meet. All right, fellas. Peace.
Well, it's closing time. We are glad you stayed with us this long. The bill? Oh, we tore that up. For truth and accountability are free. You want to leave a tip? Sure, we take your money, but what's even better is if you share this with someone you know, for there's always room for more at the Iron Table.